Hello and welcome to yet another video here on the YouTube channel STF Wargaming Studio. My name is Andreas, Norwegian Viking, and this is my hobby vlog year in review 2017. So there will be no new models unveiled this episode. I will wait until next Monday for that. But this episode will be dedicated to all the models and terrain actually I have finished during 2017. And I have a big table lined up with all the models, and we will take a look at everything in due order. I haven't bothered cataloguing when I painted stuff, so I'll just take factions at a time. So yeah, that's it for the introduction, and please enjoy. Right, so first off we have my bolt action early war German army, which I painted up for a tournament with our friends and collaborators Table to Battle in their shop just outside Oslo in Moss. It takes about 1 hour to drive there, and I painted this army up in about 3 weeks, I think. It's comprised of a Panzer III Mark J, Panzer IV Mark D, two 251/10 and one 251/1 or 250/1, I can't remember. We have loads of infantry. They've painted up to a fairly okay standard. I'm not overly pleased with everything about the army. I think the vehicles look fantastic. I've done a lot of airbrushing work on them, putting in decals and stuff like that, but I'm not overly happy with the infantry. I ran out of time and I wanted to finish them, and especially this one at the far end there, it's missing its gun because for the life of me, I couldn't put it together. It was a horrible model to put together, but after this I got a recipe of how to put the model together, and it went together much more fluidly. So I could do that, but it's still missing its paint. So for now, it's just the miniatures on top of the base. That's the crewman who's been finished so far. So that is what I've done for bolt action. For 2018 I plan to do more bolt action, do my late war army, which I will expand upon this in. So that's it for bolt action for 2017. Let's have a look at Guild Ball. Alright, so here we can see my Guild Ball exploits for 2017. There are a couple of more models to the far right there, but we have the complete hunters for Guild Ball. We have the two captains, Theron and of course oh, it's done still. I haven't used her so much. Two captains. We have both veteran and normal Hearn. Seen of the Bear. We have Chaska, we got J-Car, and yeah, Egret, everyone, and even the limited edition young Theron model here as well, and a custom 3D printed goal. We have all the traps, even made a snowball for, oh, what's her name again? Oh man, I'm going to get really reamed out in the comments because of this. Oh, Annabelle. And on the other side we have a bit more models. Alright, so continuing on with Guild Ball, I tried to finish my brewers as well, but I found the hunters to be much more exciting to paint. I mean, look at the models, they are quite awesome. I really like the models for Guild Ball, but especially the hunters. They really captured my imagination, and I just went with... I painted up Egret first as a test piece. This is her, and of course bearing a striking resemblance to another woman of nearly the same name, Egret from Game of Thrones. So I based it on that kind of paint scheme, so the kind of wildling paint scheme that they have on the costumes in the series. So that took its own life, and this is why I have the snow themed Hunters Guild Ball team that I have. I also painted up Minx. Of course, we are getting veteran Minx during 2018 from Guild Ball, so she's on the sideline here as a Union player. But I did manage to paint a couple of models for my Brewers team before my fascination of Hunters took completely over, so I painted up both mascots. So we have Quaff, nice doggy, and Scum, the not so nice cat. And I also did 3 balls. So that's it for my Guild Ball models for 2017. I will try to paint up a Union team for 2018. That's on my painting list, so do look out for that in the future. So let's take a look at something else I painted in 2017. Alright, so this is my spider army for the Hobbit strategy battle game. This is comprised of models both for the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, and it started basically by us needing some giant spiders. So I painted up 6 giant spiders for the army, or for the Grand Campaign, and that wasn't enough, so I had to paint up 6 more. Obviously, well, not obviously, but I didn't have enough models, so I only had the 6 first ones, and then I had 4 more. So I had 10, so I was missing 2, so I made these, which are basically spiders hiding in behind or climbing out of rocks. So I could use 4 models as 6 models by taking 2 of them and basically doubling how many models there were. We also did Shelob. We didn't need Shelob, but I wanted to paint her up because I think it's a wonderful model, and I wanted to finish my spiders. So I did Shelob quite quickly. It didn't take me, I think it took me a fair bit longer to assemble than actually paint her, because she is a massive beast with a lot of intricate gluing. I tried to do like a speckled design on her and try to do the red justice. I think I've captured quite a striking and horrifying model. Also reared her even more up on the base as well. And then, of course, we filmed the Mirkwood portion of the Grand Campaign during 2017, so I had to paint up not 6, not 12, but we did have some other models we used, so I painted up a total of 12 Mirkwood spiders, and these models were so fun to paint. I mean, just look at those cool models. And I post them all differently. I made different designs on the back. Here you can see like a skull design on it. And yeah, I think these 12 came out pretty good. And at the same time I painted up 6 more of the giant spiders in the same colour scheme. I also did Ashrak Spiderkin for the Moria Goblins, but since he is covered in spiders on his back, I wanted to do all the spiders at once, so I did him as well. And of course, needing the Spider Queen for the Dol Guldur section of our Grand Campaign, I painted up a Spider Queen as well with 6 broodlings. So that is quite a hefty portion of spiders. I know my girlfriend isn't too keen on spiders, so I managed to show her my progress all the time. She wasn't very fond of that, but I thought it was fun. and that was my spider army. So tell me what you think of that in the comments below. Let's take a look at another army, well, in brackets, I finished in 2017. So, going through the theme of beasts in Middle-earth, I painted up a slew of giant eagles in 2017. We needed a couple of them for the Grand Campaign, and being crazy as I am, I don't want to paint. I don't want to paint a few models, I want to paint every single model I need. So in here we have 2 plastic kits totaling 4 Great Eagles. We have the old Guy. I do need to paint a new one to completely finish the army and then use this one as just a Great Eagle. And we also have 2 of the resin Radagast on Eagle sculpt. One will get Radagast on his back, and the other one will be used as just a Great Eagle or a dismount if Radagast is dismounted from his eagle. And yeah, I think this is a cool looking small army. I am really fond of how the detail on the eagles came about. They are nice kits. I really think they are nice kits. So yeah, tell me what you think of this army. And yeah, so I do have one model left to finish for this army, and that's the new Guy. So going over to a huge model next. So speaking of huge models, here we have Smaug the Stupendous, Smaug the Terrible. So one of my mad schemes for 2018 was to paint Smaug. I knew I had to paint Smaug, but somehow fate intervened. I was asked about painting one more Smaug. So what you have to imagine here is 2 Smaugs on the table and not one. The other one is happily hopefully in a cabinet or on top of a shelf somewhere in the UK. So I painted one up for myself for the Grand Campaign and one for the client, and yeah, I'm very happy with how my Smaugs look. There was a few happy accidents. The marble effect on the base was a complete accident and was meant to be much more dark and didn't look green at all. But luckily dark green ink did that for me. So so complete accident that looks as well as I think it looks. So you can have a look at the Smaug time-lapse video on the channel to see the finished result in all its glory. But for now, let's look at more stuff we painted in 2017. Right, so you would probably have seen right behind the Spider Army, or in front of some other armies in the back there, we have a huge amount of ruins of Osgiliath. So I was fiddling with the airbrush one day and just airbrushed, I think it's a total of, how many kits is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, 7 ruins of Osgiliath kits. And yeah, just wanted to get paint on everything, so we had some terrain for the Grand Campaign and other games, and it's been absolutely fantastic. It looks so much better than unpainted terrain, and it didn't take that much time at all to do. It's too light in some places. I take criticism of that, but it's good enough. I could probably shade it down at one point, but for now it is a complete terrain kit for tables. Something else, it's not exactly painted, so it's not on my total paint tally for 2017, but it is the foreground buildings I've built over this year. So most of these have been built on the tail end of 2017. Reason why I didn't finish my target was 300 for 2017, but during the year I adjusted my target to 365, which I just went shy of, and this is the reason why, because these buildings are absolutely fantastic. You can take out sections of them and have models be either like this or like inside there. There's all the doors are movable, and even the 6-story the 6-story inn has removable parts to reveal the rooms and environments inside. In the small ones as well, have the ability to be opened. So yeah, they are fantastic kits, and luckily for me, did not require painting. So so that's the town that we've built so far. It consists of a big giant inn. It's completely walled in and fort. There's 4 of the back street buildings and 1 blacksmith, in addition to a tower. And look at that tower, it's absolutely huge. So that tower is 19 inches from base to top, and it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stories, and it is absolutely humongous. So great fun to build. I consider Foreground to be one of the best MDF terrain producers out there, and we have loads more terrain to build for 2018 as well. So here's the rest of the MDF terrain I built in 2017. We have the complete ruin sets 1 to 7 of the Ruins of Daldor, plus the Blaster Tower and the columns kit, as well as loads of these very nifty barricades. Oh, one went on the floor. Let's pick up another one. Barricades and walls. So we have stone walls and wooden walls, including gates and other stuff. And yeah, it's very simple to just drag out some MDF out of the cupboards and play games with them. One of the things I think about terrain is that when you've built a terrain, you've spent so much time building it, and then you have to actually paint it as well. But using MDF is quite cool, because then you don't have to paint it afterwards. So I do think that is somewhat of an added bonus using MDF. But then again, MDF, like I did on the carts, looks even better painted. So that's something to consider as well. But enough of the terrain, let's look at even more models I painted in 2017. Right, so here you can see the forces of Gundabad. Here you have 3 different stages, or actually 4 different stages of me painting models for Gundabad. So it all started just before the Norwegian Masters. I decided to take an all-hero mounted army with Azog's Hunters, and I used Azog, Bolg, Thimble, Narzug and Yazneg, all mounted on wargs. And it was great fun to play. Really fun army to play. But I hadn't only painted up the 3 lesser named heroes, so I didn't have Bolg and Azog painted up. So we have Azog on White Warg with a dismounted White Warg and 2 dismounts for Azog, as well as Bolg footed mounted. And for the the Battle Companies campaign we did a number of years ago, I converted up the Keeper of the Dungeon, or Golb, or Gundabad General, or whatever you'd like to call him, on a Warg, and I managed to finish painting him while I did the other ones during that month. And just behind them you have 24 Hunter Orcs, which are painted up because we needed more Hunter Orcs for the Grand Campaign. So I painted those up during the spring months. And on the left side of the screen you have the Gundabad Beasts. So these beasties were painted. I painted 2 of the ogres first. So the 2 ogres are needed for Ardacon. Then I painted up 2 of the trolls, which I just did for fun. We were supposed to be playing a 300-point tournament here in Oslo, so I took 2 trolls and a Gundabad captain, and I was absolutely smashed. I couldn't win anything really. I won 1 or 2 of the 5 scenarios we played. But then for the Grand Campaign we needed more of the Gundabad beasties, so I painted up 2 more ogres and 2 more trolls at the very tail end of 2017. So on my painting desk at the moment, pardon, We have 2 Gundabad Brutes, which is up next. So this is some of the models you'll be seeing very early in 2018, me finishing. So the Grand Campaign takes you a number of places in Middle-earth, and one of the cool stuff we did for 2017 in the Grand Campaign was playing the Fall of Arathorn scenarios. So we had Arathorn facing off against Gulavar, Burda the Hill Troll, and other cool scenarios. So I finally finished my Burda model, which I had half painted on my painting shelf, my wall of shame, and we also had Arathorn I needed to finish, and Halbrad. So I painted these up in different stages, and I think they look quite good. I'm fairly happy with my my results there. So so yeah, a big troll and 2 heroes of Middle-earth were finished. Other cool stuff that was finished for the Grand Campaign was, of course, the Necromancer of Dol Guldur and the Castellans of Dol Guldur, all painted up for the Grand Campaign. So we have the Necromancer himself and 12 Castellans. We only needed, I think, 4 for the scenarios, but I had 12, so why not paint up all 12 at the same time? One of them is actually converted. I think this one is the one that's been converted. So I had enough of all of the other poses, but this one was broken. The sword had broken off, so I replaced it with a sword from another one of the Castellans. I think this sword is from, yeah, it's this one. So this sword is from this pose. So I managed to get one of these cheaply and just cut it off and replace the sword. Quite effective, cool looking, menacingly army, and yeah, that was finished as well. So one of the armies I'm not too keen on showing actually, because I'm not too proud of it, is the Foreground army. So let's have a look at that next. So looking at this distance, the army might look a bit cool. This is 18 Wargriders, I think. Missing one. There should be one more in there somewhere. 18 Wargriders. 23 orcs on foot, as well as a orc shaman on warg. And these were painted over different times. I think these are some of the models I finished quite early in the year, as well as this one, and then I painted up these extra orcs when we needed orcs for the Grand Campaign. They are done fairly quick and easy. I put time into the metal and rust effects. But the leather and all the different browns and greens and everything is very done. Like, yeah, it was quite fast done. Quite happy with the shaman. I did a shaman in 2016 for the Grand Campaign, and this one is I took color choices from the foot model that is the exact same sculpt as this one, although it's not mounted. So I used the same painting techniques and the same colors on this one, and I'm happy with this one. But the rest of the wargs and the orcs are very simple. But from one army I'm not too happy about to an army I'm ecstatic about, let's go to my Dunlendings. So in April last year I took part in the Desolation of Stockport tournament, of course in Stockport, just outside Manchester, and I wanted to bring something unique to that tournament. It was a 800 point tournament, so you could have a fair bit of models in those armies, and being the Norwegian Viking, I wanted to field a very Viking-esque army. So I started planning out a Dunlending themed army. So what you can see here is a number of Dunlending warriors led by Thriden Wolfsbane in the centre there. So I've used these models for Saga as well. You can see the shield designs there. It actually looks textured, but they are flat on the front. We also have a sneaky cameo of the shield used by Lagertha in the Viking series there, the blue with the design on it. And yeah, these 48 warriors went fairly quick to paint. Thriden as well was fairly quick, and I did 2 captains, both converted up with shields. And then I also did 2 banner bearers, one converted up with a shield and one without it. For this army I also needed Saruman, and we needed Saruman for other projects as well in 2017, so I painted up every single Saruman sculpt there is. So we have the original Saruman from the Fellowship, we have the Orthanc Saruman, we have the original 2 Tower Saruman, the fall of the original 4th Necromancer Saruman, we have Sharky, we have Mounted Saruman, we have the new Hobbit White Council Saruman, and we have the Vanquishers of Necromancer Saruman, plus of course the Palantir. I also painted up Grima, so we have Grima on foot, Grima the Worm, and Grima mounted. And lastly, we had to do something for the army's competitiveness. So what I then did is I looked at what I can include in this army to actually make it competitive at taking out heroes, because it's very low on fight, very low on everything. So what I did is I wanted to use bat swarms. Obviously, having bats in this army would look quite stupid. So what I did is I took a note from the Fellowship of the Ring film, and they have Crebain of Dunland trying to scout where the Fellowship is. So I bought myself some ravens from Splintered Light Miniatures, and I mounted them on a sheet of, well, this is basically slate, and just stuck heaps and loads of the crow/raven models on there. I made 2 different ones, so this one is swooping over a rock, while the other ones are swooping on the side of it. So I think these are very, very cool indeed. Originally they are like on a Christmas tree thing, but I didn't want to use that, so I just used brass rod and stuck them all to the sides. Fairly time consuming, but it was great fun to do, and this army won me the Best Army Award at Desolation of Stockport, so I'm very happy with the look and feel of this army. So let's have a look at the last army I finished in 2017, which is the Laketown Guard. So here you have the 39 miniatures that make up the rest of the models I painted during the calendar year of 2017. So we obviously knew we come to Laketown during this year, so I assembled quite early in the year the army of the Laketown Guard, doing 12 of each. I think we only needed 8 of each at the maximum, but obviously coming in blister packs of 3 at the time. Now they're fairly cheaper, so I might have lucked out on that one. But yeah, so I basically bought up all the models I needed for the army, 4 of each blister pack, modelled them all up. I replaced most of the spares with brass rod, so that they are actually straighten up the weapons and paint them up. Well, that was quite time consuming. There's something about humans and painting a lot of flat colours that is something I don't particularly enjoy, so it took quite a while to finish this army. It looked half decent, quite fast, using an airbrush for the base paints, but after a while it became a bit of a slog to do. So we have 2 captains as well, and these I'm fairly happy with. The captains look quite good with some kind of design on the back there as well. But the model I'm most happy with in this army is, of course, the master himself, Stephen Fry. Great looking model, great looking textures, and I think this model is very cool. Painted him up while we were playing role-playing games one day, so that was cool. So yeah, these models will probably never be used in the Grand Campaign again until we rewind and do it all again for another 5 years. But for now, adding this sneaky guy here, this army is now done. So that was every single model with the exception of Alfred. I've painted up and finished during 2017. There are quite a lot of models. I think there's about 100 more goblins that were half finished in 2017, which I will finish this year. But yeah, that's all the models I managed to do. Total tally of these were 353 models plus terrain. I'm very happy with that result. Only snag is that I didn't get to 365, which would put me to 1 model a day. I think I could have gotten there if I wasn't so obsessed with finishing building these lovely MDF models. So I will of course do more terrain, but I will try to get me to the mark of 365 models for 2018. Look out for my hobby vlog next Monday, where I will show off the first models I've finished in 2018. Until next time, I've been Andreas, Norwegian Viking. This has been my hobby vlog recap of 2017. Please comment, like, share and subscribe. Consider donating to SDF through Patreon using the link in the description below. And as ever, support your hobby.